Can we start recording? Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the second session of Gnostic meditation, which is another way of introducing the audience to Sahaja meditation. And what we have tried to do, for example, over the last session that we had, which was the first of these sessions that we are going to have over the coming months, we took a look at the Nag Hammadi scriptures and why this is not moving forward. Okay. This is interesting. Okay, I'm going to keep it this way because otherwise it's creating something, something different that doesn't happen with my Zoom every day. So basically what we saw last time around was that in 1945, as we know, some codices were discovered in Upper Egypt, in a town near Nag Hammadi in Egypt by a shepherd. And they were found to contain a number of books, potentially and probably written in the earlier centuries, the first couple of centuries, or about 2,000 years ago, after the incarnation of Lord Jesus Christ. And these Gnostic Gospels purported to speak to a version of Christianity, a version of teachings of Christianity that are different from the traditional known aspects of Christianity. So we started examining those. These Gospels are now fully translated. What can be translated from the Coptic language in which they were written to English, and where we saw last time around was that these Gospels essentially seem to speak to realizing one's own true self as the real journey of an individual who purported to be following the footsteps of the Lord Jesus Christ. And these are sort of very different from what has been sort of traditionally accepted to be the version of Christianity. So where we went with that in our first session was we looked at the Gospel of Truth, written by a disciple of Valentinus, who spoke about a feminine aspect of divinity. And we also drew parallels with the writings of Adi Shankaracharya, again, a 7th century poet philosopher in subcontinental India, who also clearly described the existence of the feminine power within us in our triangular bone, the power we call as the inner energy or Kundalini in the classical Indian Sanskrit texts. Of course, the notion of the divine power existing in a feminine form is not at all new to the Indian subcontinental culture. It has always been a part of it. But the idea through these sessions is to examine if the Gnostic Gospels and Eastern kind of forms of meditation practices have in common truths that speak to the same essential principle. So with that, we said last time around that the Gnostic Gospels speak to a form of knowledge. Gna, or as we'll see forward, the Gnostic Gospel, in English we spell it as Gno, but if you phonetically try to understand it, it is Gna, Gnostic. Gnostic Gospels. And Gna also seems to kind of go phonetically with the word Jnana in Sanskrit, which means knowledge. So it is entirely possible that the phonetic aspect of the Gnostic Gospels is something that we may be mispronouncing when the real, not as Gnostic Gospels, but as Gnostic Gospels. So they speak to the Gnostic Gospels, all of them. There are multiples of them, such as the Gospel of Truth, the Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Peter, Gospel of the Savior. So these Gospels, as we said, speak to a state of knowledge. It is a state of knowledge that one achieves by realizing something deep within ourselves. So we decided this time, part 2 of the session, to sort of understand what is knowledge. What do we mean by knowledge? The knowledge is defined in different ways. The acquisition of knowledge over the lifetime of an individual is both sort of sensory, it can be cognitive, it can be other, kind of something that you gain through experience. So as you can see, just as a kind of a schematic, knowledge can be an amalgam, an integral of all our experiences, learnings, the education that we receive, the experiences that we go through life. If you read the email that was sent out as part of this session, for example, we know by dipping our hand in cold water, okay, or in touching ice, this is cold. If we go near fire, we know it is hot. So likewise, we can feel the wind in our face. We can see the sun with our eyes. We can see the moon and the stars with our eyes. We can smell a rose. This entire sensory perception constitutes one part of knowledge, that which we also gain from going to maybe schools or academic institutions, or through our own parents, through our learnings, living in society. That forms another form of knowledge, that is kind of a formal education, if you will, or a cultural heritage that we inherit. Appreciating music, appreciating dance, that's other form of knowledge. By reading books, this is how we gain what we call knowledge, which is a sum and substance of our experiences and our endeavors throughout a lifetime. That's one part of knowledge. The Gnostic Gospels speak to a form of knowledge that is transcendent, that lies above the sensory cognitive processes through which we acquire information, which then translates into knowledge. So the Gnostic Gospels speak very clearly about a state where once that is awakened, once the seeker or the individual reaches gnosis, a state of jnana almost, and we'll come to that in the subsequent slide, one can experience that state of sort of non-duality, where you rise above basic sensory, physical, mental phenomenon to realize a deeper truth that lies within us. So if we look at what is cognition, just to take this one step further before we go into gnosis, cognition basically is something that our brain here helps us to interpret. Now, what that relates to is memory, thinking, reasoning, understanding, judgment, behavior. As you can see here in this cartoon, you have the frontal lobes, basically part of the brain that deal with intelligence and judgment and those kinds of things. So this was what basically differentiates us from animals, or so at least we like to believe that we are different from them. There is this part of the temporal lobe, which deals with sort of memory. There is the language center, which sort of sits behind here on the temporal lobe. This is the occipital part, which interprets vision. So everything that we see is interpreted there. And these are cognitive skills that we develop: perception, attention, memory, logical reasoning. So this is what constitutes cognition. So neuroscience is still trying to figure out what constitutes cognition, but it has a number of elements to it, and it is extremely complex. But we can intuitively understand what is cognition. Is that what we go through a lifetime gathering knowledge, gathering data, processing that data, distilling it to develop our own personal experiences and insights through memory, through thinking, through reasoning. All of that together constitutes cognition. So I just wanted to take a little, a minute or two to explain what is knowledge, what is cognition, but how then does all of that relate to spirituality and Gnostic meditation or Sahaja meditation. So let's come to the final slide for the day before we go into meditation or we start our meditation. So wanted to spend a minute or two on this one. So as we said, jnana or jnana, again, that phonetic is very important, is knowledge in the Indian subcontinental language, the original language, which is Sanskrit, and gnosis. And the question is, are they one and the same? Do they speak the same language of spirituality? Do they speak the same language of a deeper truth? So there is a gospel called as just the teachings, and this was discovered as part of the codices at Nag Hammadi. And one of the quotes that we would be interested in examining is, it speaks to, and I've put it on the slide here, End the sleep which weighs heavy upon you. Depart from the oblivion which fills you with darkness. Why do you pursue the darkness, though the light is available for you? So all these teachings, the Gnostic Gospels, constantly speak about that light within, which sits within us. From the dialogue of the Savior, it says, bring into your mind and your teacher. The mind is the guide, but reason is the teacher. Live according to your mind. Acquire strength, for the mind is strong. Enlighten your mind. Light the lamp within you. It's very clearly stated in these Gospels that the path to a higher state, a path to liberating ourselves from our physical, mental, and emotional limitations is to light that lamp that lies within each one of us. Now, very interestingly, but not surprisingly, and I repeat, interestingly, but not surprisingly, the Bhagavad Gita, which forms one of the absolute core constructs of the so-called Hindu religion, the subcontinental part of the Indian subcontinental dominant sort of theosophical belief system, is the Bhagavad Gita, which was supposed to be revealed by the Lord Sri Krishna to the Prince Arjuna. And in that, it speaks of basically three paths to salvation. And one of them is the Jnana Marga, the same as in Gnosis. And Jnana Marga is the path of knowledge. And it is one of the three paths, as I said, to salvation, the other being through devotion, and the third being through action, so Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga. But the ultimate goal of Jnana Marga is self-realization. And if we read through that chapter, the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it essentially describes how an individual can only liberate oneself through the limitations of our earthly existence by getting self-realization, by getting jnana. But jnana here again, and this is why we want to emphasize over and over and over again, is not theoretical knowledge, is not emotional knowledge, is not just some kind of cognitive knowledge, that this is a pen, this is a cup, this is a book, this is a computer, this is a laptop, this is a screen. That is not the knowledge we are speaking about here. What these Gnostic Gospels or the Bhagavad Gita like texts basically speak to is the knowledge that comes from an inner awareness that is awakened within us, lighting that inner lamp within us. So that basically concludes our little discussion for the day, something that we try to understand as we take the next step. At the next session, so now we'll get into our meditation. This is why we assemble. We don't gather here to have a theosophical discussion. It just kind of sets the tone for what we want to do. But at the next session, we will take this one step further, and we will examine deeper about some of the aspects that the Gnostic Gospels have spoken to us about. So hopefully you found that interesting. We did get emails from some of you. It was great that you find this series interesting. Once again, keep giving us your feedback, and let us begin. So with that, we would like to play a video for you as to how we meditate, what are the affirmations that we go through, and we will request Mariano to do it. But before we do it, for those of you who may be joining us for the first time, maybe you have visited the Surge Online website, maybe you have not. Very briefly, Sahaja Meditation, which was introduced by the founder, Srimataji Nirmala Devi, in 1970. You will find a lot of details about Sahaj, what is Sahaj, what is the subtle system, how does it work, and the founder excellently deployed and developed and written on the Surge Online website. So we would invite you to do it. But essentially, we have a system whereby we have three energy channels. We have an inner energy within us, which we have referred to now previously in the past 15 minutes as the inner energy or Kundalini. And there are 7 energy centers within us, 1 below the Kundalini energy, 6 above. And self-realization essentially constitutes the awakening of that inner energy, that lamp within us, which is the spirit, which is enlightened or which is awakened by the rising of this energy through the 6 energy centers, and piercing it through the fontanel bone or the seventh energy center. So that's it in a nutshell. We'll take a look how it works. Then we will look at what the affirmations are, and then we'll get into our meditation session. So with that, over to you, Mariana.
To begin, sit comfortably on a chair or on the ground with your back straight and your hands on your lap, palms up. Close your eyes and relax. Then repeat each of the following affirmations until you feel peaceful and ready to move on. Ideally, you'll spend about 30 seconds on each of the affirmations, saying them slowly, genuinely feeling the desire and meaning they represent. First, place your right palm over your heart and quietly say, either to yourself or aloud, "Am I the Spirit?" Next, place your right palm on your lower left side, just above your hip, and say, "I want to have pure knowledge." Move your right palm up until it's just below your ribcage and say, "I am my own master." Place your right palm over your heart and say, "I am the Spirit." Place your right palm on your left shoulder where it meets your neck and say, "I am not guilty." In this moment, it's important to leave behind any regrets or feelings of guilt you've been holding on to throughout your life. Place your right palm across your forehead, lower your head slightly, and say, "I forgive everyone, including myself." In this moment, you must forgive, forget, and let go of painful events that have troubled you in the past. Finally, put your right palm on the crown of your head, with the center of your palm maintaining firm contact with your head. Now, rotate your hand slowly in a clockwise direction, and as you rotate your hand, say, "Please let me have my self-realization." Sit quietly for approximately 5 to 10 minutes, without trying, without effort. Notice the silence. Notice how your thoughts have calmed. If a thought does pop into your mind, simply let it rise and fall away. Should you find it difficult to raise your inner energy alone, help is always available on this website.
Great, thank you. So let's get started. Let's close our eyes. Let's take a deep breath, hold it, let it go. Both palms in our laps facing upwards. Let us place our hand on the heart. We ask a question 3 times. Am I the Spirit? This is that lamp within us that the Gnostic Gospels speak of, the lamp that needs to be lit. Am I the Spirit? Just place this hand just a little below our last rib, always on the left side. The right hand on the left side, just below the last rib, upper part of the abdomen. These affirmations help to awaken our energy centers. Why they do it, how they do it, and I'll find that information on the website. Let's meditate for now and say the affirmation. At this point, am I my own master? Say that 3 times. Now let us place our hand over part of our abdomen on the left side, behind the place where usually men wear belts. Lower part of the abdomen on the left side. Let's press it gently with our fingers. Now, this is an affirmation, no longer a question, that we will say for the second energy center, which lies just above the sacrum bone in the vertebral column. And the affirmation is, I want to experience pure knowledge. The knowledge of the lamp within is the purest form of knowledge. That is the true gnosis. So we say, I want to experience pure knowledge. Let's say it 6 times. Say it once very quietly. Try to see if you can feel the silence within. Now let us place our hand, raise it, left part of our stomach or abdomen, just below the last rib, always on the left side. Now for the third energy center, the affirmation that we would say is, I am my own master. Let's try to say that a few times. I am my own master. I am my own master. Let us now place our hand on the heart. Now we say a very important affirmation, and that is, I am the Spirit. We are saying, in other words, I am the lamp within me, within myself. So not the body, not the mind, as the Gnostic Gospels have said. This is my true identity. I am the Spirit. Let's say that about 12 times. This is the fourth energy center. Say it once, the affirmation, and feel that silence within you. Then say it again. It's not necessary to count. It's more important to feel the silence. Now let us put our hand at the angle of our neck and shoulder. Turn our head slightly to the right side, as you saw in the video. For the fifth energy center, you say the affirmation, I am not guilty. It's very important. If we are the lamp and the light within, we cannot be guilty. There is no guilt association and no guilt complexes. The enlightened spirit is completely free of such ideas or notions. So we say, I am not guilty, very firmly. Now we place our hand across our forehead. Gently, we shall bow our head down. Now the affirmation for the sixth energy center is, I forgive everyone, including myself. It's very important to forgive ourselves. So we say, I forgive everyone, including myself. Now finally, let's keep our head bent down slightly. But now we place the center of our palm on the crown of our head. It would be simply wonderful if you could keep your attention at that place where the palm is touching the crown, also called the fontanelle area. Most important affirmation where we now move from duality to an experience of non-duality, as the Gnostic Gospels have described. State from sleep to awake. So now we press gently with our palm on that fontanelle area, and applying that slight pressure, we move it in a clockwise fashion. And we say, I want to experience my state of meditation. Or if you are comfortable saying it, you can say, I want to experience my self-realization, that lamp within us. Say that about 7 times very quietly. Attention on the fontanelle area. Bring your hand down. Let's place the right hand also now in our lap, palm facing upwards. Let's not open our eyes. Let's continue to keep our attention, if possible, the crown of our head. Breathe quietly. Let us see. And where we had placed our hand on the crown, if you want to raise it just a couple of inches above, you can open your eyes for a second and see what I'm doing. Just move it back and forth. And what we are trying to see here is if we can feel a cool breeze, maybe a warm breeze, this inner energy when it rises and pierces through the sixth, seventh center, it establishes this connection with this all-pervading energy around us. And it's just an experience of it. As we say, Sahaja meditation is purely experience-based. It's not theoretical. You can also try with your left hand. Raise it above, feel it, try to feel. Gentle back and forth. It's okay if you don't feel it, it's not a prerequisite, but as we encourage in Sahaja meditation, people to have their own confirmation, if you will. And it's possible you may also be feeling a cool breeze flowing through the tips of your fingers. Again, this is the gnosis that you're feeling in your fingertips, the knowledge of the all-pervading power around us. And that's possible once the energy pierces the seventh center. Let's slowly open our eyes. So we'll have one more meditation session this evening. As we always do, we have 2 meditation sessions. But before we start, does anybody have any questions? You can put them in the chat function. Looks like we don't have questions today, which is great.
Indeed.
Good. So no worries. We're enjoying our meditation. That is more important than asking questions. Again, questions, answers, they're a cognitive process. The whole thing we're trying to do here is move away from that. Establish ourselves in true knowledge, true gnosis. So let's have our second, what we usually find is a deeper meditation session.
There is actually a question.
So there is one. Indeed. So in the New Testament, the apostles do talk about love, joy, peace, patience. Yes, they are. So they're all in the central channel. They're all in the central channel, but the manifestations in some ways of the left channel. You're right, Charles. So joy, which is the most dominant expression, is a manifestation of the spirit on the left side here, but is expressed here through the seventh center. So that's joy. Love again is an expression of the heart, again of the left side. Patience comes from our third energy center, which is the Manipura chakra, the Nabhi chakra. It is a sign of the primordial. It is a manifestation of the primordial master within us. So that is indeed patience. Goodness, kindness, same thing, all from the left heart. So they are. So the left and right basically manifest these qualities, but the true manifestation of it is always through the central channel. So the spirit which sits on the left side does manifest all of these qualities, most of them like love, joy, and kindness, compassion, all of them. But it is through the central channel that they are truly awakened within us. So great point, and thanks for raising it. What we try to do, as you can imagine, through these sessions is to examine where true Christianity's origins are and how they completely compare, overlap, in fact, say the same universal truths across multiple sort of theological or theosophical ways of or systems of thought. And there is really no difference. Reality is one and the same. It's absolute. And it's absolutely wonderful to look at this. So I'm hoping that you are enjoying these sessions, you find them interesting. Good. So if there are no further questions, let's get to meditation again. This is what we are here for. And this time, as you know, we say just 3 affirmations. We place our hand on the left heart. We say the affirmation for the spirit. Then place our hand on the 6th energy center. Say the affirmation for forgiveness. Then we place our hand on the final, say the final affirmation on the 7th center. And we seek our self-realization or the state of meditation, and then we sit quietly in silent meditation. So once again, and Mariana, I don't know when we do the 3rd affirmation, after that, if we can play some soft music, that would be great. If not, silence is fine too. So let's close our eyes now. You know how this is done. Let's see if we can try to bring our attention within ourselves, deep inside. Charles mentioned in the chat function, peace, that silence. And that is a manifestation of the lamp within, of the spirit. So let's place our right hand on the heart. Try to bring our attention inside. On our spirit. And we say the affirmation, I am the pure spirit. Let's place our hand across our forehead. Bend our head forward just a bit. And now with absolute sincerity and open-heartedness, we say, I forgive everyone, including myself. Let us place our hand on the crown. Keep our head bent down, as always, center of our palm touching the crown, and gently rotate it in a clockwise fashion. We say the affirmation, I want to experience state of meditation. You can say as along with, I want to experience my self-realization, the very strong desire to keep the attention on the crown. Let's say this 7 times. Bring your hand down now. Once again, both hands in our lap, palms facing upwards. We'll continue to keep our attention in the seventh energy center, which is the crown of our head. Continue to meditate in silence. Just see if you can experience a state of thoughtless awareness. Even if you are getting any thoughts, don't engage with them, just witness and say, I forgive. Once again, try to keep your attention on the crown. We'll say no more and just continue to meditate. Mariana, if we can play some music, that's fine. Otherwise, silence is okay too. Let's enjoy this state of true gnosis. Slowly open our eyes. But if you want, before opening your eyes, you can try again. Over the crown of your head, a couple of inches. See if the force is stronger this time. But if you didn't feel it previously, maybe you can feel it now. Also try with your other hand. Okay, so that brings us to the conclusion of our session this evening. Again, we are very interested in your feedback. If you like these sessions, please inform others. Look forward to your feedback. So over the past couple of weeks, it has been great. So we'll continue with this. Next time, we'll explore some deeper aspects of the Gnostic Gospels and what they speak of. Hopefully, you are beginning to see the relationship between Sahaja meditation, the state of thoughtless awareness, and that state of non-duality that Sahaja meditation speaks of and that the Gnostic Gospels speak of, where you can shed the basic identities that we have and try to establish ourselves in a higher level of truth. So with that, maybe we can conclude this evening, just taking a look at the poll. And we look forward to hosting you 2 weeks from now again for this particular session. Thank you for your participation. Be safe and see you soon. Thank you and good night.